At matapos po yan ay nagkaroon na po sila ng bilateral na pagpupulong. Meron pong isang closed door at meron pong isang summit. No? Ang mga napag-usapan po, unang-una, para po sa peace building, binigyan po ng suporta ng Pilipinas, yung usaping kapayapaan sa panig ng North at South Korea. At na-reiterate po na ating presidente yung ating pagtutol sa kahit anong nuclear weapons dito sa North Korea. Pero pinarating naman ng ating presidente ang kanyang tiwala na magiging matagumpay ang usapin sa panig ng North at South Korea. At sinabi rin ng presidente na inaasahan niya na magtatagumpay din ang magiging summit sa panig po ni Presidente Trump at saka nung liderato ng North Korea. Napag-usapan din po siyempre yung kooperasyon pagdating sa ating defense at ating seguridad. Ang South Korea po ay siyang nagbenta sa atin ng 2 frigate para po sa modernization ng ating Navy at tinitignan pa po ng ating presidente yung pagbibili ng iba pang mga pangmilitar na gamit galing po sa South Korea. Specifically, sinabi po ng presidente na interesado siya sa mga helicopters dahil hindi po natuloy yung pagbili natin ng helicopters galing po sa bansang Canada. Pagdating naman po sa political, social, and cultural cooperation, pinasalamatan po ng ating Pangulo ang donasyon kailan lang ng 130 vehicles para sa Philippine National Police. At ang mga Koreano naman po, South Koreans, ay nagpakita ng kanilang pasasalamat dahil nung nakalipas pong digmaan noong dekada 50, meron pong halos 8,000 mga Pilipino na lumaban side by side at marami rin pong namatay para sa demokrasya dito po sa South Korea. At nangako rin po ang South Korean President na magkakaroon po ng mga social security agreement at titignan din po nila yung hinihingi natin na pagtaas po ng age limit para sa mga foreign workers from 18 to 45. Nagpasalamat din po ang ating Pangulo doon sa prompt handling ng pagkakamatay ng ating kababayan na si Mr. Angelo Claveria. Siyempre po, pagdating naman doon sa usaping economic cooperation, nagdinoble po ng South Korea ang kanilang overseas development assistance para po sa mga infrastruktura, suporta po para sa ating build. Noong mga nakalipas na taon po, meron po silang $1 billion na ODA na binigay. At ngayon naman po, dinoble, naging $1 billion po ang pinangako ng South Korea para sa ating mga infrastructure projects. Ang presidente po ng South Korea ay humingi ng suporta para doon sa gaganapin sana na o pinaplanong ASEAN Republic of Korea Commemorative Summit at sinuportahan naman po ito ng ating presidente at idideklara nga po ni presidente yung 2019 bilang taon ng 2019 bilang taon ng samahan ng South Korea at ng Pilipinas. No? At nagkaroon din ng kasunduan na magkakaroon ng kooperasyon tayo para sa mga proyekto na mangangalaga sa ating kalikasan. So kasama po natin ngayon ang 2 kalihim natin. Ang una po ay si kalihim Sani Dominguez na magbibigay po sa atin ng ulat tungkol dun sa mga economic agreements na pinasok natin at saka konting ulat po dun sa nabalitang inflation rate sa ating bayan. At pagkatapos po ay si Kalihim Lopez ng DTI para naman po dun sa mga panibagong mga ngabital, yung mga new investments na nakuha natin dito sa South Korea. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Secretary Sani Dominguez.
Fellow workers in government, friends in media, good morning. I'm pleased to report to you the extremely productive meeting I had with Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Strategy and Finance, Kim Dong-yeon, yesterday. I thank Deputy Prime Minister Kim for the framework agreement between our two countries that was signed last month. This agreement results in the doubling of the Korean official development assistance committed to the Philippines from $500 million from 2011 to 2013 to $1 billion available from 2017 to 2022. We intend to maximize this amount committed to us. The first loan carved out from the $1 billion framework agreement amounts to $172.64 million US dollars. It will be used to finance the new Cebu International Container Port project. I am pleased to announce that yesterday, the loan agreement for this project was signed by myself and Export-Import Bank Korea Chairman and President Sung Soo Yoon. The signing was witnessed by President Rodrigo Duterte and President Moon Jae-in. The new container port will increase the operational capacity of the main cargo-way in Cebu. It will help alleviate the road congestion in the Cebu-based port area and provide a more efficient and reliable transport infrastructure to enhance the flow of goods and services in the Visayas. In our meeting yesterday, we also discussed 3 projects in the immediate pipeline under the arrangement. This include a $50 million project preparation facility for the National Irrigation Administration, a $100 million financing for the new Dumaguete Airport Development Project, and a $41 million project for the implementation of electronic receipt, invoices, and sales reporting system that will help us monitor all the taxes paid by the retailers in the Philippines. This leaves us with a balance of $636 million. I recommended to Deputy Prime Minister Kim the use of the unallocated amount to 2 or 3 of the flagship infrastructure projects identified in the Build, Build, Build program. We promised to forward to the Korean government as soon as possible a list of the flagship projects for their consideration. I assured Deputy Prime Minister Kim our strict monitoring of these projects to make sure that none of the Korean taxpayers' money is wasted in corruption and that all the ODA-supported projects will bring lasting benefits to the Filipino people. We also discussed ways and means to expedite the process of financing key development projects in the Philippines. Both sides agreed to form a small group and hold more frequent consultations to ensure that priorities remain aligned, as well as to allow us the opportunity to discuss, identify, and address project preparation and implementation issues. We hope to get the projects running as soon as possible to support the rapid expansion of our economy. In the course of our conversation, I had the opportunity to thank Korean government for the $6.6 million grant for enhancing the capabilities of the Philippine National Police, which includes supply of vehicles and training of PNP personnel. I also found the opportunity to bring up our standing request for assistance in the protection and preservation of the ecological systems in high-density tourist areas like Siargao, so that they do not develop into problems like Boracay. I assured my counterpart of the Duterte government's strong commitment to ensure environmental sustainability in tourist destinations. We also agreed to come up with a knowledge-sharing and educational exchange program for Filipino and Korean students, as well as young government professionals. Deputy Prime Minister, for his part, expressed support for the e-governance project and our comprehensive tax reform program. He hopes to complete the tax reform program successfully. He understands the importance of the tax reform program to the sustainability of our economic emergence. I express the gratitude of the Filipino people for the strong support South Korea extends to our economic modernization. South Korea is firmly committed to the Philippines' economic emergence. We are ready to take our place as one of Asia's tiger economies, and we will forever be grateful for the generous partnership extended by the Korean people.
Thank you, Secretary Dominguez. Can we hang on to our questions until after the briefing made by Secretary Lopez? And thereafter, please direct all questions for the 2 secretaries because they have a business briefing to attend at noon. And you can direct to me all other questions after them, after questions addressed to them. Secretary Lopez.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. So as we all know, the goal of the visit of the President is to strengthen the relationship between the two countries, especially on the trade and investment, improving the trade and investment ties. During the bilaterals at the Blue House, among the other topics as presented by the two secretaries, the one on trade basically would refer to a re-strengthening, a revival of the Joint Commission on Trade and Economic Cooperation, and a possible development of a preferential trading agreement. This is with respect to improving the market access of our agriculture products to Korea. Because as you know, right now we have an ASEAN-Korea free trade agreement, but there are still products that we wish to improve market access on. In particular, we are referring to products like banana, pineapple, mangoes, coconut products that we intend to improve market access on. We are the largest supplier of banana to South Korea, but our market share is also challenged right now by other suppliers from other countries. And this is because we've realized, we've spotted that the tariff rates are still have some room for reduction. For example, the tariff rates for agriculture products would still hover in the range of 25 to 30%. Our request for them is to bring it down in the vicinity of 5%, almost at the same rate that we are offering products from South Korea. In other words, tayo po nagbaba na ng taripa, so we are basically asking for reciprocity as to the products that would enter South Korea. There are 5 G2G agreements that were signed. I don't know if Secretary Harry has mentioned this. This would be the MOU for cooperation on the expansion of renewable energy development, Memorandum of Understanding on scientific and technological cooperation, the loan agreement mentioned by Secretary Sani on the new Cebu International Container Port, the establishment of the Joint Commission for Trade and Economic Cooperation, the MOU between the Department of Transportation and the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport concerning cooperation in the field of transport. On the business side, we shall be having a business forum this afternoon. There's a good turnout, about 400 delegates. We are expecting only about 200, but 400 delegates will be joining, both from the Philippines and the Korean side. There will be a signing of business agreements. This will be the B2B, 23 business agreements with an estimated total value of $4.8 billion, generating new jobs of 50,000. And this would be on top of the 5 G2G, government-to-government agreements mentioned earlier. The coverage of these business agreements basically reflect the interest from Korea, especially including SME assistance. We have big companies involved for the signing, but we also cater to the SMEs. For example, there's an LOI on Chaishong Kimchi, which plans to expand its kimchi production, business operations in the Philippines. It has an inclusive business component, as they are planning to engage local farmers from Benguet in this business operation. Early today and early yesterday also, we've been talking to specific Korean companies. Just now, I'm a bit late because I just finished the meeting with POSCO. It's one of the largest conglomerates in Korea. They're involved in many things, on infrastructure, steel. They're looking into a possible iron and steel operation, engaging also, increasing their engineering and construction operation in the Philippines to support the Build program of our President. They intend to expand operation amounting to $200 million, which is expected to generate more or less 2,000 jobs. POSCO ENC, Engineering and Construction, is construct new power plant with a contract value of around $900 million, with a total capacity of 600 megawatts at Masinloc, Zambales. We've also spoken to SK ENC, that's Engineering Construction, That's yesterday, as they intend to expand the development of power generation project in Quezon. They're planning also to do an LNG and power infrastructure development and operation, LNG trading and city gas distribution, intending to expand this business activity in the Philippines. For Hyundai, as you know, Hyundai is present in the Philippines, but heavily on the distribution side, dealership. But they are now considering seriously doing a production facility, specifically both on passenger vehicles as well as commercial vehicles. On passenger vehicles, the midterm and long-term investment plan is to construct a plant for the purpose of assembling vehicles in the Philippines. On the commercial vehicles, they intend to provide local manufacturing solution to the current PUV modernization program, our public utility vehicle program. So I can explain the various MOUs or LOIs that will be signed later if there will be some query on this. But nevertheless, we shall be distributing the list of agreements to be signed this afternoon. Thank you.
Before I open the floor for your questions, Sec Martin Andanar asked me to announce that there is also a draft MOU between the PCOO and the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism of the Government of the Republic of Korea. No? This agency is an agency regulating KTV, the local news TV, and Arirang TV, its international affiliate. South Korea agreed to have mutual visits, trainings, and exchange. Your questions, please, directed to both the Secretaries of Finance and Trade and Industry.
Raymond Tinasa.
Good morning, gentlemen. Bago makalimutan, kay Secretary Mon Lopez, you mentioned yung agreement on some kind of agricultural cooperation. Sir, I understand, meron kasing ngayon as we speak, may feedback yung some farmers from Benguet. Because I understand we have that South Korea and Benguet have the same interest on highland cultivation of crops like the carrots, potatoes, and so on. Sir, can you elaborate if there is any sharing of technology? Because South Korea is noted for their rich production of highland crops, and that could be shared to our Filipino farmers, especially in Benguet and Mountain Province.
The operation that I explained earlier definitely will include the sharing of technology because, of course, they're strong on the R&D and the technology aspect in agri, and it's a modernized agricultural operation. For them to achieve the level of productivity that they would need, they will have to share this technology, both on the processes as well as equipment.
Thank you, sir. Kay Secretary Harry Roque. Sir, good morning. Sir, you mentioned it's a loan agreement, loan or arrangement, now it's $1 billion. Sir, siyempre ang unang papasok sa isip ng ating mga kabayan, it's utang na naman. So, sir, can you explain on what could be our advantage over this loan agreement, aside from the money itself, of course, but on the mode of payment, terms of reference, the interest when we will be paying this $1 billion?
The interest rate on this 172 million US dollars is 0.15%. And it is payable over 40 years. 10 years grace period. So it is very, very generous of the Korean government. And certainly we can afford this kasi, when they put the port, we will be charging port charges and goods will flow more quickly, traffic will be lessened in Cebu. So it's really beneficial for us. And the loan is very, very, very cheap.
Thank you, sir.
May I Los Baños?
Sir, good morning. May I from TV5. For Secretary Dominguez, sir, did we also seek some help for the Marawi rehabilitation? And did the Korean government promised anything, an amount to give us for the Marawi rehab?
The Korean government said that they are committed to assist us in the Marawi rehabilitation program, but they are just waiting for the final plans so that they can tell us so we can ask them exactly what we need from them. They didn't mention any amount, but definitely I think it's going to be very substantial. The Korean government is very supportive of the actions of the Duterte administration.
One more. Sir, how is the chopper deal shaping up? Because we heard parang may tama ho ba the President preferred yung Surion, which is it's a utility helicopter being used by the Korean Army. Tama ho ba?
I'm sorry, I don't know the details, but that's really up to the DND and the President. I think they will visit them this afternoon yet. And I'm not sure, if they favor one type of helicopter or another, but definitely I'm sure they're considering supply from Korea.
Sir, one last. So, sir, helicopters but arms or mga baril po, meron po bang ganong
I understand that there will be talks regarding joint venture possibility of manufacturing small arms in the Philippines.
Pia?
Secretary Dominguez, you mentioned proposing to the Korean government to allocate the ODA sa mga flagship programs under the Duterte administration's Build. Can you elaborate ano po yung mga programs or flagship programs?
Yeah, we have 75 projects in the program. 35 of them have already been approved, but we're still finalizing the feasibility studies, and basically we will submit them, the potential projects, to the Korean government before the end of this month. In the meantime, we know that we have asked them to finance the Dumaguete Airport, and then we also asked them to consider financing the e-governance program, whereby the retail stores will already issue e-receipts, and this will be connected to the BIR. So it will be real time, so we know every day how much VAT we're collecting and how much sales are going on in the retail companies. Korea is #1 in the world for e-governance, and we know that their cybersecurity is also very good. That's why we are looking at them. Sorry, we have 35 already approved projects by the NEDA for the Build program.
Sir, what were the considerations by the South Korean government in doubling the ODA amount?
I think they're very encouraged. Well, first of all, the President of Korea announced in Manila last year his new South policy, and I think he really wants to support the Philippines as well as the rest of ASEAN. In fact, as Secretary Roque mentioned, he asked the support of President Duterte for his initiative in the ASEAN.
Secretary Lopez, may we know the sentiment of the Korean businessmen in deciding to invest more in the Philippines?
Just like other investors, the sentiment, actually it's a positive sentiment. There's much bullishness. They all recognize the fast growth rate we're having. They're hitting somewhere 2 to 3%. We're hitting 6.8%. They realize also that much of the growth is backed up by a solid growth from the manufacturing sector. They all know that with the enlarging population and the growing middle class, there's a lot of opportunity from construction, infrastructure, consumer goods, retailing, in particular power, definitely, to fund all this infrastructure and manufacturing build-up. You need power, so there's a lot of interest there. There's bullishness, ayun ang masasabi natin na talaga, that's why the interest even on the attendance this afternoon is really very good. There's strong high interest. Oh, very positive. No, kasi even in the meetups yesterday, the bilaterals with the base leaders, they've really strengthened their ties. The ties that, of course, started. They first met in November last year. Everybody recognizes the strong political will, the change that the president is bringing. All these reforms that we've been talking about, they all realize that the administration is really determined to make changes for the better. And it's being reflected now in the statistics that we see, the economic fundamentals. So very positive ang outlook nila.
May I add to that? You have to look at the demographics of Korea and the Philippines. Their average age in Korea is 41 years old. The average age in the Philippines is 23. So they look at the Philippines as an economy that is growing fast, that is going to demand more Korean products, that they can source Philippine labor to supply the Korean market as well as their other markets around the world. So it is a very natural partnership between the two countries. I think they really appreciate the growth that we have been having. Which brings me now to my next topic. And the economic team of the Duterte administration would like to assure you as well as the Filipino people that the Duterte administration remains committed to reforming our socio-economic structure towards a more inclusive society so that we can provide markets, we can provide the manpower to service manufacturing industries here in Korea. We shall continue to prioritize investments that will improve health and education of our people, enhance security and public order, and build a world-class infrastructure. We realize that this is not an easy task. We have to face the short-term challenges of a fast-growing economy, and we must tackle these problems in order to succeed in the long run. The 4.6% inflation rate in May of 2018 cannot hinder us from our objective. The year-to-date inflation reached 4.1%, or just slightly higher than the 2 to 4% inflation target set by the BSP. I assure you that we are not casting these figures aside. We are doing our best to assist our countrymen in their time of need through a long menu of social mitigation measures. We already know that the main contributors for inflation are higher tobacco products, the cost of the imported cost of fuel, and the higher prices of rice, corn, and fish. And we are already taking steps to stay ahead of the situation. I would like to emphasize that trade is not the sole reason for the increase in inflation. The effect of high global oil prices driven by unfavorable geopolitical events, along with the import quotas on rice, have affected prices on a much larger scale. We in the economic team are of one mind that the best way to address inflation is to pass the Rice Tariffication Act. The estimates are it will bring down rice prices by around 7 pesos per kilo for the Filipino families and reduce inflation to below 4% by the second half of the year. We will continue our efforts for our people and for the future generations. By the way, I am happy to note that as of April this year, the unemployment rate dropped to 5.5%, down by 0.02 percentage points from 5.7% rate from the same period of last year. 625 new jobs were created.
MPC question.
And it came from 6.6% pa before.
Yes.
Hi, good morning, sir. Secretary Dominguez. Sir, sinabi niyo po kanina na may assurance kayo sa Korean government na walang missing ko sa kanilang pera ay mapupunta sa korupsyon. Ano po yung mga hakbang na gagawin ng pamahalang Duterte para po matiyak na Korean man po o Philippine money po ay hindi mapupunta sa korupsyon?
First of all, ma'am, it's not the Korean government's money. It is the Korean people's money that the government is allocating to us. So it's our duty to make sure that those funds are totally corruption-free when they are used. And what we are doing is we are monitoring this project very carefully. We are getting COA involved in the audit of these projects, and of course, the president has really taken it upon himself to fire people who are just suspected of corruption. So in this way, we feel that the government employees, as well as the private sector, will be very careful in the use of government funds and funds from the taxpayers of other countries.
Pia.
Sir, since you're talking about inflation, May inflation came in at 4.6%. This is lower than the BSP forecast, lower than the estimates of the economists, and even slower than your own forecast. So how did this come to be, sir, when the oil prices were also very high right now? So May inflation, while slower, is still above the target and faster than April, sir. Can you explain?
Well, I guess our projections were wrong, no? We always try to project on the conservative side, but I guess our estimates on the effects of these price increases were too much. But it seems to me that the inflation rate is I hope it's leveling off. I think this is a sign of leveling off and probably dropping. As you know, we watch very carefully the prices of fuel, and they have been on the downtrend. In fact, the futures market of the fuel is, the technical term is in backwardation. The price in the future price of future deliveries of fuel are actually lower than the current prices. So we are seeing that trend going down. You know, these moves of North Korea and the US are going to calm the markets quite a bit, and we hope that the Middle East also will be calmer than what it has been in the past few weeks, so that fuel prices will not be too volatile.
Sir, in the next few months, what's our outlook? So we're expecting the prices to calm down a bit.
Yeah, the projections of all the government economists has been that in the second half of the year, the inflation should be on the downtrend. In fact, the estimates for the inflation for next year are below 4%.
Even on price, if I may add, even on the prices, we expect, for example, rice also to temper down in terms of pricing, because we expect the importation to come in already by this first part of June. In that way, there will be NFA rice that will be sold again at the 27 and 32 pesos to provide that accessibility to low price rice. This will, of course, drive down even prices of commercial rice, which, as you know, despite the lack of supply, we were able to still hold on it the level of 39 to 40 pesos for the regular and well-milled rice. So that's our way to basically control and prevent the runaway of price of rice. And also, we've just discussed with the Department of Agriculture to consider the imposition of SRP on major agricultural products as a way to also have a handle, a firmer grip on the prices of agricultural products na nasa palengke. Kasi yun po ang walang SRP. But I can assure you the basic necessity and prime commodities, again, I can confirm that it's 100% compliance. We have 400 stores being monitored every week. Hindi gumagalaw the basic necessities and prime commodities, SRPs. Yung na-observe na price increase as reported in the inflation are coming from the non-essentials, which as reported, yun yung precisely may excise tax. The soft drinks, the cigarettes, and even on the restaurants, transport because of the fuel. But we hope to see this continuation of reduction in fuel. Kaya nasa 4.6 pa rin yan in a way because the prices have just, of world market price of oil, have just started to go down. In other words, yung dating, as you know, it came from $44 per barrel, went up to $71, $72. Now it's easing up to about $67. So, but we're just seeing it going down. So hopefully that will continue so that it will really lessen the tension on price.
So we don't expect inflation rates to peak, Popo. So it's going down na. Or if so, at what rate?
Yeah, walang mahirap ang crystal ball talaga. But while we're doing all our best, for example, on the basic commodities, hopefully pag na-control natin yan, at hopefully nag-peak na itong mga, in the tobacco, it was reported, ngayon nare-reflect yung tamang price, di ba? Kaya nga maganda ang tax revenue ng finance and BIR. It's because of these things that are reflecting a higher price on the tobacco where it should be, no, in the first place.
First of all, let me just say that the DTI has been doing a great job in monitoring prices. And I think when the retailers see that the DTI is constantly monitoring, they will be very careful about profiteering. But also to the point of Secretary Lopez, the highest increase in price has been in tobacco. Tobacco inflation rate is 28.3%, and that is driving the rest of inflation. And why are tobacco prices high? Because the tobacco companies now are paying the correct tax. Since we drove out the tax evaders, mighty cigarettes, remember we collected 30 billion pesos from them last year. And every month we are collecting 2.5 billion pesos more because they are paying the correct tax. So, but we want the price of tobacco to go up because it's bad for your health. We also want the price of sugary drinks to go up because it's also not so good for your health. So those two prices have really driven the inflation rate, but it's something we planned for. It's not an accident. The thing that we did not plan for was the increase in the price of fuel. Unfortunately, we could not foresee that there was going to be gulo sa Middle East, and that drove the price of fuel up. So part of the inflation is caused by trade, but it is caused because we wanted price of tobacco and sugary drinks to go up. It's something that we planned, and the legislature agreed to it. So that is the cause. But however, we also experienced unexpected increase in price of fuel. Well, that seems to be going down now because Russia and Saudi Arabia are pumping more gas, more fuel. There's also another reason that prices are going up, and that is because on the average, the Filipino people have around 35 billion pesos a month more. Number one, those who are receiving more than 20,000 pesos a month, they receive a reduction in withholding tax, di ba? That amount is 12 billion pesos a month that we are not collecting. Okay? We have also increased our spending rate, okay, from last year to this year by 266 billion pesos. Okay? That is over 5 months. So that is, how much is that? About, over 5 months, about 50 billion pesos a month, diba? Yeah, it's about 50 billion pesos a month. If you think that is for infrastructure, for healthcare, now if you think that about 30% of that is for salaries, that is another 15 billion pesos a month in people's pockets. So 12 plus 15 is 27. And then we are also giving unconditional cash transfer of about 2.5 billion pesos a month. So that is going to be another, how much? 29.5, okay? And then starting June, the state colleges and universities will no longer charge tuition fee. That is 3 billion a month. Savings. So people have more money. So that's about 32 billion, right? Okay, so this 32 billion, unfortunately, I want to ask you, how much of you have saved your reduction in tax? How many have put it in the bank and bought insurance? How many?
Ginastos lahat.
Ginastos lahat. Now, when you spend it, prices are going to go up. I'll give you an example. I just looked at the first quarter reports of Jollibee and McDonald's. Their sales are up and their profits are up at least 25%. So, this is driving the economy. I'm hoping that people will save more money and invest it in treasury bonds. Treasury bonds. Pero ginagastos nyo, you're buying new shoes, you're buying new cell phones, di ba? How many have bought new cell phones? Treasury bonds. Okay. So please save your money so that the prices are not going to go up so much. Yeah.
Okay, MPC,
So anyway.
last two questions.
Yung on the prices lang, tama yung sinabi ni Sir Sunny, and in fact, na-reflect yun sa, yung isa sa mga tumaas din sa inflation, di ba, yung mga restaurants, eating out, recreation, and in fact, yung sa sinasabi din siguro ng karamihan na, nagtaas ang presyo sa grocery, they might be referring again to the non-basic necessity. Example, may reflected na mga tumaas like condiments, seasoning, sinigang mix, ano mo yung cream, milk, hindi ito milk, cream, na ito yung mga non-basic necessity na so may mga tumaas din. Kaya maybe tama sila sinasabi, but these are not the basic necessity na importante sa pang-araw-araw, lalo na ng ordinaryong mamamayan na kinokontrol po natin ang basically may control sa presyo through the SRP.
Last two questions. Tina Mendez, Joseph.
Sir, sa forecast ng bababa na yung presyo ng fuel, anong impact sa regular na mamamayan? Kailan mararamdaman? Within few weeks ba? O
No,
months pa, hinihintay pa?
No, in fact, they're already going to bring it down, di ba? They announced already, may bumaba na. But, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. According to the DOE, nung huli kaming nag-meeting ng Price Coordinating Council last week, usually may mga 15-day lag time because they keep the inventory. So, ibig sabihin, pwedeng meron pa tayong mahal na crudo for the next 15 days. And then we can see it going down henceforth. So, hopefully, yung reduction that they did, magtuloy-tuloy kasi nasundan ng mas murang crude oil.
But remember, again, one of the real drivers is that people have more money. I tell you, when the government spent 266 billion more this year than last year in 5 months, that is a record. And people are telling me the sugar farmers in Ormoc and in Bacolod that they're having a hard time getting harvesters for cane because people are working in the infrastructure projects. So I think more people have jobs. It's just shown that our jobless rate has gone down. We've created 625,000 more jobs, and I think they are good jobs, and people are spending money. The other thing you should note also is that there was a survey done, I think, by SWS, which showed that the self-rated poverty and the hunger went down, even though inflation went up. So people must be less hungry, according to SWS, not government, and they must have more money. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Christine Avendano, last two questions, and Joseph.
Sir, just to clarify, so what's the immediate mitigating measure that we can give? Kasi yung rice tarification, it will take time. Even yung plans to import yung cheaper
The rice tarification is almost finished in the House. So it should be done in maybe 3 or 4 weeks, no? when they return. The other mitigating act is that we are fast-tracking the release of the unconditional cash transfers. We have already released a big portion of it, and then by, I think, before the end of June, we will be increasing that even more to about a total of about 8.8 million families. Our target is 10 million, but we're getting there. By the end of the third quarter, we should have released all for the 10 million families.
Yung rice, yung NFA importation, darating na yung rice. So, you'll have more available, yung cheaper rice that will temper yung price natin sa rice. No?
Last question, Joseph Moro.
Sec Lopez, sir, good morning po. Sir, yung balikan ko lang, SRP on agricultural products price, including rice?
Yes, including rice, chicken, pork, and so what Secretary Piñol did with the DTI last week, basically nag-consultation na with the stakeholders. And well, the focus will be Metro Manila because it will be basically a set of homogeneous public markets. Ibig sabihin, may pare-parehong situation versus, let's say, public markets in different parts of the country na pag malapit ka sa dagat, murang isda, or malapit ka sa manukan, mas murang chicken. So, it's so difficult to set an SRP for agriculture products. But we'll start with Metro Manila since majority naman ng tinatamaan din nandyan sa Metro Manila. So, there will be that move on SRP as guide, but in effect, it will serve as a ceiling. Ang purpose nito, you will now have a basis for profiteering. If it's like 10% higher, then one can really question bakit sobrang taas ng presyo na yan sa palengke.
Sir, ito yung mga manok?
So, yung mga basic, the manok, the baboy, karne beef, and then isda. Sa isda, they'll focus on 3. Yung galunggong, bangus, and tilapia. No? And then onions, garlic will be included, and then rice.
Sir, kailan to implement?
We'll wait for DA. After their consultation, we give them 1 or 2 weeks para magkaroon ng basihan sa SRP sa Agri.
Okay, anybody of the gentleman can answer, but yesterday, President Moon said he wants to see more Filipinos visit Korea. So, are we looking at maybe talks of regarding relaxing visa requirements in the future?
Visa requirements?
Sir Kapon, President Moon said he wants to see more Filipinos go to Korea. So that's the policy statement. But are we looking at maybe meetings with our cabinet secretary?
Gabi, nag-usap kami ni Secretary Sani with the President, and sinasabi nga namin yung many Filipinos gustong-gusto sa Korea, the culture, K-pop, and No, in fact, yung daughter ko papunta ngayon dito without my consent. So, tomorrow yata darating. So, may mga ganun talaga. They really like to travel here. In culture, there's affinity to it. So, I guess yung tourism both ways, no? Korean is our biggest tourist, 1.6 million. And yung mga Pilipino gusto pumunta dito. I think, hindi naman ganun kahirap kumuha ng Korean visa.
No, I think for Jeju, no visa.
Oh, Jeju, no visa. But for
Jeju Island, no visa.
Pwede bang mangyari na in the future, no? Maybe sa mga ibang countries kasi wala tayong visa nung kailangan. In the future, we can look at maybe visa-free entry to Korea, to Seoul.
I don't know. You have to ask. Alan Cayetano.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. Sorry sa MPC because our guest, kailangan nilang umabot sa business forum, presidential spokesperson.
They have other questions on other matters, so you do. Thank you, Sec Dominguez and Sec Lopez. So here comes the hard questions now.
You have questions for
Go ahead, shoot.
Sir, namin, sir, of course, you know yung dun sa issue ng kiss ni Pangulong Duterte with the Filipina. May mga negative comments sa Pilipinas, may mga official po ng gobyerno na nagsalita or mga congressmen, senators ang salita against it, sir.
You know, the kiss really was an act that was intended really to please the Filipino crowd gathered at the moment. And if there's anyone who should complain, it should only be the woman who was kissed, and she's not complaining. She has said for the record that she was proud of the fact that she was able to come that close to the president, and if she's not complaining, I don't think anyone else should. The president, of course, has had a policy of doing what he does because he does things the way he does things. If some people are offended, so be it. But in this instance, we have to highlight that the woman had nothing to say but positive things about the experience. Let's leave it at that.
Use the microphone.
Well, it's not an acceptable norm, but what I'm saying is the only person who should complain is the woman. And she's not complaining. The lady. And she's not complaining. So let's leave it at that.
Okay, no more questions? I'll close. Last question.
Sir, kahapon may tawag yung preliminary investigation, sir, sa Dengbaksha case against the former president. At sabi niya parang inaasahan niya or nangangamba siya na matulad siya kay dating Secretary Laila de Lima. Ano po yung reaction dito ng palasyo?
Well, I think the president has been very laid back on the issue of Dengbaksha. He has made it clear that he is awaiting the findings of a group of foreign experts. He is not swayed either way by anyone's opinion because so far all the experts' opinions contradict each other. So I think the former president should give credit to President Duterte because he could have made this into a political witch hunt and he did not.
Okay, Pia? Tatanong ka, di ba? Sino pa mag-question? Bobo.
This is part of political talk. Yes, go.
Sir, I understand when the president flew into South Korea, he took the commercial flight. Will this be the trend now of the foreign trips of the president to take the, and what could be the wisdom behind choosing commercial flights rather than chartered one?
I think this will be the new norm now for presidential travels. It is intended to save taxpayers' money.
Sir, yung kay De La Serna, was she fired? Was she asked to resign?
De La Serna was definitely fired.
What's the reason, sir? Yung
Well, I think in a
officials?
past briefing, I did say that the Office of the President has investigated the many complaints against De La Serna. I can confirm that a senior palace official did the investigation, and I could confirm that a recommendation was made to fire her. Well, she was fired, number one, because as you know, the President would want to implement universal health care, libreng pagamot, libreng gamot sa lahat. May personal interest po ako dito, disclosure. I was the author of the House bill in this regard, which was approved by the House. We need a completely honest PhilHealth if we're going to have a successful universal health care. So yung mga reklamo sa kanya, excess travel, yung kanyang mga magagong pamumuhay, yung hotel stays ng taon na pinabayaran sa taong bayan, At saka yung lugi po ng PhilHealth under her watch, 8 billion, no? Yan po hindi katanggap-tanggap. Dahil nga po importante na pangalagaan ang economic viability ng PhilHealth. Kung hindi po yan economically viable, hindi po magkakaroon ng katuparan yung libreng paggamot at libreng gamot na ninanais ng Presidente Duterte.
Joseph.
So related to the firing of officials, just to get your reaction, si former CJ Sereno had an interview with one of our programs and she said yung firing of officials medyo gimmick lang siya. And if I may quote, no, yung sa nagpa-fire tapos po yun lang to, aalis lang. Unang-una kong, anyway, ang sinasabi niya is for show. And tama ba yung perception na hindi pina-file ng mga cases right after they've been fired?
Alam mo, tingin ko kinakailangan na ng psychosocial assistance itong Chief Justice na ito. Paano naman magiging for show yun na nawawala ng trabaho mga tao? Now, yung hindi pagsasapa ng kaso, kasi hindi naman katungkulan ng Presidente yun. No? Nasa ombudsman yan at mahaba yung proseso bago maisampa ang kaso. Isa-isa namang nasasampahan din ng kaso yan. No? So bakit niya sasabihin hindi nasasampahan ng kaso? I understand the amount of pressure that she's subjected to. Take it easy, ma'am. Mahaba pa po itong laban na ito. But meanwhile, let's be more circumspect. Wala pong gimmick dito dahil ang mga nasisasante ay yung pinakamalalapit kay Presidente, lalo-lalo na nung panahon ng kampanya at wala pong makakapag-deny niya.
Okay, last question, Janalyn. Last question na tayo.
Sir, ano bang utos ng Presidente sa bagong PhilHealth chief na ayusin ba yung fund?
He is still an OIC president, no? So I think that means it's not a permanent appointment. He is from Davao, yes, but I think the president has not closed his option on who eventually the PhilHealth president will be, because otherwise the appointment would have been made permanent.
Pia?
Sir, balik po dun sa kissing incident. The palace has always stressed that President Duterte is an advocate for women's rights. Pero ang pinupoint out po ng mga critics niya is that his actions reflect otherwise.
Pia, critics are critics. Sabi mo nga sa akin kung may mabuting sinabi yung mga critics kay Presidente Duterte. Sige nga, who can point to me yung mga critics niya ngayon kung may mabuting sinabi kay Presidente Duterte. Sa kanila, their life is just to criticize the President. Pero kung nandun naman tayo lahat doon sa Phil community meeting, tingin ko, all of you will agree, wala namang mali siya. Some may feel that hindi na dapat umabot doon, pwede na sigurong beso lang, pero so be it, no? Pero para sabihin na mas malalim pa yung, meron pang mas malalim behind the kissing, I think is unnecessary. It was made as a light moment in a meeting that the President had with his kababayan. I don't think there's anything immoral. After all, the President has reiterated he is single.
But the woman is married.
Yes, but the woman volunteered, and the woman said she was very proud of that experience.
Okay, last question na ito, Christine.
Sir, did the President say anything about that incident?
No, because she thought it was so minor an incident. I don't think it's something that he would talk about.
Yeah.
It's certain quarters that blew it out of proportion because that's their role in life.
He never made any comments to the
No,
cabinet.
none at all. None that I heard.
Okay, last question. Teka, Linya.
Sir, may meet and greet daw yung Presidente kahapon. Ano po yun? With a business?
Hindi po natuloy. So, balita lang po yun, but hindi po natuloy yun. He decided to rest.
Okay, thank you, Presidential Spokesperson.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
See you in Manila.
Okay, back to our main studio sa Radyo Pilipinas sa People's Television Network.
Thursday na tayo, ano? Ayaw nyo na mag-press briefing bukas dahil tayo pagod.
Short statement and video.
Sabay.
BBM. BBM.
BBM? Did you mean, did you say BBM?
I said BBM.
May